Hey everybody, welcome back. Mike from Spectre Comics, doing something a little different today. In an effort to get my comics moving forward, I thought I would just film and talk while I was drawing. So this is kind of an experiment. What I'd like to eventually do is get into live streaming. So Spectre Comics issue 7 is in process, and I am currently on page 21 of about 32 pages, I think it'll be about. So I got a little bit of ways to go, and I just wanted to talk through the process. I keep saying talk through the process. Why do I always say that? I wanted to just walk through and talk what I'm doing and see how it looks, and then eventually I'll get into, like I said, live streaming. And the issue I think I'm going to have is that it's very hard to draw and talk at the same time because you're trying to focus on what you're doing. But again, this is a test, so we'll see how it goes. Now, I'm working on a scene at Spectre Comics issue 7 where our Spectre crew is headed, they're on the asteroid where they landed in order to, go on their little expedition. And so this page here is the scene kind of left on a cliffhanger in this panel where Spark here is getting ready to get pummeled by this big rock creature. Right as he raises his arm to pound Spark, which is right here, I cut to another scene. So then we go through this whole other scene back on the ship with the robots. And after that scene, we return back to right where we left off, Spark here getting ready to get pummeled by the rock creature. And the next thing that happens is Arco jumps over Spark with his staff and pounds the rock creature right in the face in an effort to deter him. So that's where I pick up on my script. I've got my script here. That's where I left off. Back to Spark's Risa in this scene. We were just finding this to be a lot harder than I thought. First of all, my voice is very tired, and maybe it's better I just draw and play some music. I kind of like the idea of talking through my comic page. So, you know what? I'm going to keep going. The way I write my scripts is I break everything down into a scene. I write the script like you would write a normal script with characters talking, and then I'll put some little indicator notes on what's actually happening in the scene, gestures that characters are making. Each line represents a change in scene, and then I do put a little description, kind of a story description of what's happening as we return to the next scene. Again, we're returning from the cliffhanger scene where Spark, several pages earlier, was getting pummeled, so about to get pummeled. So if we read through the next scene, we have the Spectre crew on the asteroid dealing with this rock creature. And the first thing I describe is that, we return to the scene where the rock creature's hand was raised, getting ready to pound Spark, and then all of a sudden Arco jumps in with his staff, pounds the rock creature in the face, and then the next scene is showing, according to what I've described here, Arco, who they didn't know was much of a fighter, goes into attack mode and just unleashes kind of a fury of attacks onto the rock creature. So the staff he holds is an expandable staff that he stores in his arm bracer, and it also has a vibro function, which gives a bigger impact when it hits. So this impact right here is actually much tougher than it looks because the staff adds a little extra punch to it. So in the next scene, I'm going to have to draw a bunch of moves, and what I actually work through in these scenes is trying to think of how do I want to show it. And because I've got a lot of quick actions, I might want to do a bunch of small panels in a row of all these little attacks that Arco is doing after the initial blast in the face. So I think I'm going to put a bunch of little squares here. And in each little square will just be a quick drawing of Arco doing different moves, looking like he's really taking advantage of hitting, getting the rock creature off balance. So when I do a scene like this, I do use a straight edge for the edges of the panels. Usually I use this little thing here, and you know, I have to not only think about what the next series of panels are, but how the whole page looks. And what happens after the series of hits is we're going to want to see Arco goes on an attack with his moves, knocks the rock creature to the ground. Then we see Storbo, and Storbo is, we'll see it on this page here. He's this character here. Goes into his utility belt, pulls out a little pocket grenade, and he's going to toss it at the downed rock creature. What's not shown in this scene here is that there's actually two rock creatures. Each of them are attacking. So one of them is kind of off in the distance. This one is right here, right in Spark's face. So they're going to kind of take them out one at a time. I always use the edge of the panel as kind of a guide. And I'm going to make it as wide as this line. I've bought this little ruler a long time ago, and I find it very useful. It's very small and portable, but it's very good at lining things up because it's got a grid on it, and it actually has measuring, so I can actually measure in centimeters. It also has a protractor on it if I want to put something at a specific degree. To draw the second part of the panel, I'm going to just line it up and continue the line. Doesn't have to be perfect because eventually I will take this into Photoshop when I actually do the inking, and everything will be straight and perfect. So when I do my comic pages, sketching them out, just laying them out on the page, I'm very sketchy. I never do final pencils anymore, ever since I started inking on Photoshop, because I'll do my final artwork there. I just really need to lay the page out here and try to go as quickly as possible to get this process done. Working on this comic, I've been penciling this for over a year. I just never sit down and just work on it, and I want to get out of that habit of not working on it. I want to kind of do that every day. So that's what this video is about. That's what this is for. That's why I want to start live streaming, and once I get all the pages penciled, I want to move on to inking, and I'll be able to live stream that right off my computer with OBS Studio. So I think what I want to do is do 3 panels, because they'll be relatively square, and if I kind of measure, see where 3 panels would be. So if we go 6, 12, I mean, that's just about even, kind of something like that. I don't even bother to clean up, you know, like the lines like here. But what I want to do is just quickly sketch Arco going in some moves. And I think I have here some sort of reference poses. Keep this little folder of comics, you know, references. I also keep sketches of characters, so character designs. I keep comics in here of previous issues, so that I could reference them if I need to refer back to something earlier in the series, or want to see how I drew something in another comic, just for consistency. Here's a reference drawing of Captain Gorgo, who's the main villain. Oh, here, I got here's some action poses. This is what I'm talking about. So, got a bunch of action poses there. I had one with even smaller. There's another one. Here's a sketch I did years ago of the rock creatures. Now that I'm trying to talk while I'm working, I actually never realized how much I'm pretty silent when I do this because I'm really focusing on what I'm doing. One of the things about when I draw is I kind of get lost in the world I'm creating. So I don't really want to talk because then I got to think about what I'm saying. Or I could just wing it and not worry about it. I don't know. So look at some of the poses. I wanted to print a bunch of like poses where he was just attacking. And so there's a lot of good ones here. But he's attacking with a staff, so I don't really have apply. So let's see. Again, these are just going to be quick sketches. I'm first only going to draw Arco's action because I can fill in the rock creature in the back. He's going to take up most of the background because he's so much larger than the other characters. He's probably 2 to 3 times taller than them and much thicker. He's made out of stone. Obviously, he pulled away. He's live creatures that live in the mountainside. They basically blend in, and when they're disturbed, they kind of come out of the mountain. So earlier in this scene, or early in the comic, the characters are scaling down. They're rappelling down the side of a cliff. They kind of disturb the rock creatures on their way down, and they both pop out and start attacking. They're kind of brainless creatures. They have no motivation other than if they're disturbed, they're going to attack you. So the best thing is just leave them alone. But in this case, they did disturb them. So they need to confront the giant rock beasts. Looking at these drawings, and I'm not seeing any good ones. And plus, you kind of want to get Arco from behind because he's, the camera's kind of behind him. I guess I could do one where it's a side view, but let's just start drawing. I'm going to keep Arco in his simplest form, which is just a circle body. I'm just going to do real simple gesture drawing. As I'm trying to figure out, what best pose to put him in. So he's, like I said, he's going to have a staff too. So the staff's going to kind of come out, and his leg is going to go down. He's got wide bottom of his pant legs, so I'm going to try to and put the staff up. And it's much easier to take a pose like this, and when I go to ink, to just use it as a guide and fix things that are just, quickly drawn when I'm doing that. So the rock creature's face got pummeled here, so he's going to have kind of a big dent or gash in his face from the impact. And I want to show him kind of knocked back, so if I could just, he's got a kind of a rectangular head. His arms he's got a long body. His arms are going to be back. And I haven't figured out how to draw these rock characters yet. Like I said, I did draw this design for the 2 of them. Again, they kind of pull out of the side of the cliff. So this one looks more rocky and muscular, but this one this guy's kind of flat. And that's the one we're dealing with right here. He's the more flat one. And the idea is his eyes closed here, so he's kind of squinting. I don't know how rock flexes so easily, but he's organic, well, maybe he's silicon based, I don't know. I haven't created a backstory for these guys yet. And having this out is a good guide because then I could kind of see how I drew his body initially, because he doesn't have a traditional human form. I mean, he's got arms, legs, and a torso, but I got to make it look like it blended into a rock face at some point. One thing I do find when you're drawing action, I find it difficult to, because the action's happening quickly, you want to draw quickly because you want to capture the action. It's kind of like capturing a thought. But I kind of want to just bend this creature back, and we'll just kind of play with that. He's really taken off balance. So his legs are kind of back, his arms are up. And that's really terrible, but the idea is I want Arco to kind of knock him down, and then Storbo's going to come and toss the grenade. And the grenade is powerful enough that it will destroy the creature. He'll be blown to little pebbles. So Arco, and maybe as Arco attacks in each scene, he gets a little closer, so we get a little more detail as we're moving in, just trying to think through this, So maybe now we get Arco's maybe a little bigger. in this second panel, and he shifts poses. Okay, so he's got that, and what I want him to do now is he's going to twist a little bit. And this arm's going to be pulling back. And this arm's going to be reaching, because he's going to swing the staff around like that. His arms like this. And the staff will go between his hands. He's got a backpack. He's got his hips and his legs, and this leg's going to be pushing off. This leg is here, and that swings around like that. So we get another impact here, and that gets pushed. So the creature is now going to be kind of looking to the side. So I gotta kind of, he's only got like one eye, because the rest of his face is kind of, he's got this one eye, and he's now looking at the side. So we're kind of looking at a side view here. And Starbo's staff is like this, and the staff needs to be long enough. Sometimes I'll go out of the panel if I got a little piece of detail there. So this motion is in that direction, then this one comes like this. In that direction, he gets blasted in the face. So if he would go like this, then like this. Then the next move I would do would be up, and maybe the up, maybe a little bigger. Now he brings his elbow back, and the staff's kind of like this now. So it goes up this way then. So it's kind of like that. The thing is with this scene breakdown is the closer I get, the less I can see of the rock creature. And I want to be able to see him get pounced. Maybe there's a final panel here where we pull back again and Storbo, or we see Arco putting the final blow. So we do that, and then here we're going to see Storbo. Does he say anything? No. And what's hard to figure out is where everybody else is in this scene. I think I need to pull back for a more establishing shot. So I got Storbo kind of looking in his satchel. He's pulling up his reaching across his bag. So I'm just going to go like this, and reach in. And okay, so be reaching into his bag. I think his gun is going to be behind him still, although I think he was using it in a... Okay, so that's the gun on his back. And we're getting to about 30 minutes. I'm going to wrap this up, but, you know, again, didn't get as much done as I wanted to, but I wanted to talk through some of these scenes. And we'll wrap up next time working on this panel and kind of seeing, you know, the action. This will be the final blow. So Arco's final blow in this scene. And this will be Arco, or Storbo, reaching in for the grenade, and then maybe in the next panel, which we'll just do a skinny panel. Okay, so the idea is we did the action scene, we just followed the action, Spark getting threatened. We're just following the action, Spark getting threatened, Arco jumping in over him to back the rock creature up. Couple of blows with its staff in a row. Here we deal the final blow. I need to figure out what that looks like, so we'll draw that later. Arco, or Storbo, in the meantime, is reaching into a satchel to get a grenade. And then in the final panel, which would be this small panel here, he's going to throw the grenade. We'll go on to the next page. And the thing I like to do in my comic is every time I start a page, I put the number of the page next to the text. I don't plan it out ahead of time, like what's on what page, because I kind of want to let it flow freely. Now that's poor planning. If you were doing a real comic, you wouldn't do that. You would plan a page and kind of lay it out on paper, like in a description first. I don't do that. I kind of just evolve as I go to the next page. I got to just make sure I'm within the number of pages I need for the comic. Comics come in multiples of 4, the way that I get them printed. So you have to make sure that your pages are, like I said, it's going to be probably 32 pages. If I don't have 32, the next one is 36. So I got to make sure I have enough content written in the script left to fill up that many pages. Now I do have a bunch of scenes left, and I'm not above making, you know, a whole page that's one panel or two panels. That's a really big, nice, dramatic shot that's pulled way back to get some effect, or maybe it's a very detailed shot. The first page of this comic is here, and it's, you know, half the page is just this shot of the building as we're looking into. It's a new scene, it's a new chapter in the story, a new comic issue. So as needed, I will change the size of the panels. If I have a lot of quick action like we did here, we'll make smaller panels with quick action. And that's kind of how I do it. So this is video number 1 of this type of video where we're drawing comics and talking through the process, talking through my thinking, how I do it, how I kind of sketch it out, how I basically go from script to translating the dialogue and the page descriptions to a comic page. So anyway, hope you found it entertaining. Put any comments in the comments section. Let me know if you want me to live stream stuff like this. It'll be fun to kind of talk through as I'm doing. And again, it is hard to, it's really hard to talk while you're trying to draw because it makes you go much slower. If I was just sitting here focusing on my drawing, I could just kind of, it's kind of fun to kind of talk through it too. So hope you enjoyed it. Like the video, subscribe to my channel. Hope to see you next time, and have a great day.